When I first heard about it, I was like, great, Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson on the same card in August, but wait a minute, they're not fighting each other. Why not, Dan?
Well, that's a good question. The idea is for them to win their fights in August 9th at the Barclays Center, and then move on to a fall fight. That's the intention of Showtime, so they say. The problem is the doubleheader that they're putting him in. I understand about, guys getting built up to fight each other, but these are two guys that don't need to be built to fight each other. They've been fighting top opponents for years. They've been on premium cable stations for years, but instead of fighting each other now, they are both fighting guys who are going to be not even in the top 50 in their weight class. Danny Garcia is fighting Rod Salka. Lamont Peterson's defending his belt against Edgar Santana. To be honest, this is two disgraceful matchups, and Showtime, frankly, should be ashamed of putting this on.
Well, two big names that will be fighting next month, July. It's Canelo Alvarez taking on Erislandy Lara. What are you hearing from both camps heading into their showdown?
Now, this is a good matchup. The word out of Canelo's camp is just like he's always been, ultra confident. And I can understand why. He's a guy who wanted to take on the best opponents. He insisted on fighting Austin Trout last year. There were members of his camp that didn't want him to fight that fight. They thought maybe it was too dangerous. He fought the fight. He won the fight. It got him a shot at Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, that fight didn't go his way, but he made a tremendous amount of money, and they did the biggest gross ever in the history of pay-per-view. So in the long run, it was worth it. He absorbed a loss, but nothing wrong with losing to the best fighter in the world. They came back and bounced back in March against Angulo, and a lot of people thought he would try to avoid Erislandy Lara, who was a very skillful fighter, a former big-time Cuban amateur star. And guess what? He took the fight. And for Lara, he views this as a chance not only to make his name, but what he is saying is he's so confident he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez next month. He says after that, he wants a piece of Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, if he can get Canelo Alvarez and Mayweather, I'm not sure he'll get him, but that would be a very impressive run right there. It's a good matchup style-wise. It's a classy fight. Two of the best guys in the weight class. I'm looking forward to being out there for that fight.
You can't fault Lara for dreaming. The 1-2 combination of beating Alvarez and Mayweather, that'd certainly be something. Our Boxino tournament made a lot of headlines. It was very successful in the middleweight and lightweight division. Apparently, Bob Arum liked what he saw. He's thinking of doing a featherweight tournament. What are you hearing about that?
Well, Ty, when I talked to Bob earlier in the week, he started to talk about this mainly because he is the promoter of Vasyl Lomachenko, who looks so spectacular in winning a featherweight title against Gary Russell, a vacant belt, last Saturday. And so now with that victory in hand for Lomachenko, in addition to the fact that Bob also promotes Nonito Donaire, a big name who's got one of the belts that he won in May, also promotes Evgeny Gradovich, has one of the titles at featherweight. We've had him on Friday Night Fights. People are familiar with him. He also promotes Nicholas Walters, a hard puncher with another belt. So he likes the idea of mixing and matching some of these guys. He's got HBO apparently on board, interested in putting on some of those fights. He's talking about maybe trying to get a deal working with Johnny Gonzalez, the top-notch Mexican fighter with one of the titles. And so he can try to make some of those fights be good for the fans, be good for the sport. I hope he can get it done.